So I've been playing Aliens Fireteam Elite for more than a week now. I was actually really looking forward to this one before reviewing it, just because number one, I really love third-person shooters, just cover-based, this type of thing. Plus also, I really like Alien and Aliens and Xenomorphs and all that. And it's been a minute since we got a game that focused on this type of thing. The James Cameron Aliens type of deal. Because when I was a kid, even though it took me longer to get into it, that shit was all the rage. Those aliens were absolutely terrifying. And I remember being hooked on stuff there was the 90s Aliens arcade game that was pretty sick. There was Alien Resurrection. I really liked that game. Then there was AVP Extinction, which was super underrated. I think looking back now, it didn't get a lot of good reviews, but I loved that thing as a kid. That was the sickest game and really introduced me into a lot of that stuff. There was the DS game. What was it called? Aliens Infestation. That was just a really good one, and everybody forgets about that one. That was kind of a return to form for that type of thing. Just a really good 2D Aliens game for the DS. Then there was also Aliens Extermination, which was awesome and stupid, but that's how a lot of these things go. And I went into Aliens Fireteam Elite not with the highest expectations other than seeing, okay, cool, you shoot xenomorphs, you are a space colonial marine. I almost said space marine. I mean, technically, they're marines in space, so whatever, dude. Just action, shooting, third-person action, cool, let's go. This game's all right. It's a little rough around the edges. Thankfully, it's not a full-price game. It's $40, and that's good because there's not a ton of content. All there is this single-player campaign. It's barely a campaign. Really, it's just kind of a playlist of a bunch of missions across various different levels. And in between, you can walk around and buy mods for your weapons and stuff and talk to characters. But all the story stuff, I was not into at all. As someone who does find all of that stuff cool, Weyland-Yutani, all of that, even up to the newer Ridley Scott Alien movies, I love all of it. I just couldn't get interested in any of it. But what did hook me is the gameplay. It's really fun. It's really simple. It's really straightforward, but I had a lot of fun playing it for a specific reason. And I go into depth about a lot of the system stuff more in the before you buy video I did on Game Ranks. But what I kind of wanted to highlight here is that sometimes there's just that game where, it's not a full price game. It's not crazy. There's not a lot of bells and whistles to it, but it's just raw fun. And with friends, it's really good. And I say that as someone who is always usually a single player gamer. And when I hear it's better with friends, I'm like, I don't like that. I want to play by myself. This game's not good by yourself at all. But thankfully, I had a friend or two I was able to jump in and play with. And there it's really fun, where it's just, you're just fighting off hordes of Xenos coming at you from all sides and just talking shit with a friend on Discord. It's perfect. You know what other game really scratched that same type of itch? I don't always directly comparing games recklessly to one another, but this gave me a lot of World War Z vibes. Remember World War Z, released a year or so ago? I think now it's on Game Pass or one of those services. A lot of people have checked it out. It's just like that. It knows what it is. You're not going to get invested in what's going on other than just what's in front of you that you're killing. And this does a really good job at scratching that itch. It does some cool little things here and there where there's stop points and you get to just plan out and place some landmines and some traps and stuff and then hit go, and then they all start pouring in. And those moments are really fun. I think this is a game that I highly recommend when you play it. Play a couple levels, play a couple rounds, then amp up the difficulty and see where things really get wild. It's messy. There's a lot of xenomorph types, and some of them kind of just run at you and then they QTE you, and it's kind of messy and weird, but it still just is really freaking cool to just, the way they pour in is really impressive. I gotta say, they clearly spent a lot of time and effort on the aliens themselves, the threat of them. There's weak little jump scares here and there when you're walking down hallways and it feels half-assed. But when you're in a big room and you just see them there's a crack in the wall and they're all pouring out, swarms of them, or they're busting in through the floors or wherever, and you just see them all coming and you're like, oh shit. You get that good sense of dread. And you're like, all right, let's go, and just fire into a crowd of them. The feedback is pretty good. The way it kind of chains kills together, depending on your class, is good. I also really, and I'm not the only person that's made this point, but it's cool that there's a bunch of weird, crazy alien types in this game, but I wish there were more, because as a kid, in like the comics, the toys, the video games, they had all these crazy freaking xenomorphs that were over the top, and there's some here and there, but I wish there was more. Still, what this game does pretty well is captures some of that Jim Cameron, I say Jim Cameron like I know him. Hey, Jim. No, James Cameron, like Aliens feel, where it's more about the chaos of it all, the craziness of it all, the mowing down the aliens, the suspense, the tension, but not like that slow drip horror vibe from the first movie, which I still think I might like more, but this is cool. It lacks some of the personality. Like, it doesn't have that like Bill Paxton coolness to anything. It doesn't have like any of that really. But in terms of just mowing down aliens, it could be pretty satisfying. Plus that, and the loop is fairly good. Like there's some progression. You can go back and you can spend money, or you can unlock weapon attachments, and they all actually, make a difference to your gun, and it's pretty satisfying. There's also like a little skill thing that you can unlock and slot and fit into kind of like a character build, so to speak. And it's enough to keep you going and keep earning and stuff, because there's really not much story to pay attention to, or at least for me, it was like I was like, meh. Plus the fact that it gets a little repetitive. There's not really a lot of boss action or anything like that. Once you've seen all the enemy types, that's really it. But it still sprinkles little things throughout that I just like as a fan of the films. There's a lot of Prometheus stuff in here, which it was nice to see. I won't say exactly what, but it was cool to discover that. There's also just good music and some good atmosphere and some good visual design of the areas that just really echo some of that stuff. There's like nasty caverns, just all the sci-fi stuff, from the weapons to the vehicles to just everything you see in the world fit perfectly. So there is some authenticity. Plus with the music, like it's not just like they rip the scores, but they do a lot of music that fits pretty damn well with this universe. This is definitely like a smaller budget Alien game, and you can tell, with some of the animations of things, the fact that it is rough around the edges. It's not the tightest shooter in the world, but it throws you a lot of weird, crazy shit. Like you're blowing away these weird aliens. Like eventually you get into shootouts with synths, and they have all these crazy, weird enemy variation to them that is wild and unlike anything you've seen in the movies, but it doesn't really matter. It's just more cool stuff to kill. And the bigger the Xenos get, that's more exciting. All the death animations and all that stuff really, really works well for me. But at the end of the day, that's all this is. It's a little bit forgettable, but still fun, right? So like I say forgettable, and I don't want that to be like a condemnation. It is fun. I just think that there is something, and I don't know if this is gonna be like a hot take, but there is conversation to be had about one of these types of games where it's just like, maybe I'm not gonna play it right now, but maybe I'll check it out when it's on Game Pass or on sale on Steam or something like that. It, for me, kind of falls into that category where it's not something you need to run out and play right now. Maybe if you have a really good group of friends and you all really, really freaking love Aliens movies, then in that case, go for it, and you might be satisfied. Does it control as tight as something like Gears of War or other third-person shooters? No. Do you get that moment-to-moment satisfaction of trying not to get hit by them spitting acid as you mow them down with your pulse rifle that has the movie-accurate sound effects, which is great, and like your different classes, like maybe you have the heavy, and you have a cool helmet that says adios scratched on the side, like that stuff they nail really well. While the characters you're playing as have no charisma, when you're playing with your friend on Discord or whatever, you guys will fill in those blanks and you'll have some fun. I just think at the very least, I'm happy that like it's not a complete disaster. It's not Aliens Colonial Marines. It's not as like, oh beautiful as something like Alien Isolation, but this is a different thing. It's a different direction. It's action oriented. It's lower budget. But I think for some people, it's going to be worth experiencing. The way I look at it, though, is that as much as I said, like, maybe don't run out and play it right away, like, on the other hand, I want more from it. I want the developers to support it. I want more modes. I want, like, an expansion with more levels. They do have, like, some stuff, but I really want to see more from it. Like, from top to bottom, every single, like, the progression's decent, so give me a little more of it. Stuff like that. So I'm hoping we get to see a lot of that soon. But I just kind of wanted to get some words out here, just yap about this game that I've been playing, that I couldn't really talk to anybody about for like a week or so now. It's definitely a game that you're probably going to see some rough reviews about, and you're going to even hear some of the things that I said, and you're going to be like, ugh. But again, if you're able to somehow give it a chance, you might actually dig it. If at the very least, for some of that good adrenaline rush, that challenge, that just kind of hold the trigger or hold the mouse button down and just keep shooting and see gore and have a good time with your friends. And I think that's important sometimes. We all want to go and play Skyrim again, or spend 1,000 hours in Persona, or do the endless grind in Destiny, or replay Uncharted 3 for the 1,000th time. But then sometimes there's stuff like this. I've made videos on it before, those turn off your brain games. And, you know, Aliens Fireteam Elite scratches that itch at least. So I want to hear from you guys. I want to talk to you guys. I'm obviously putting this out a little bit before the game is out, but I want to know what you're thinking, what your expectations are, and if you're watching this after the game has come out, please let me know what you think about it, because I'm talking in a bubble here, so I want to know if you're digging it. Am I too hard on it? Did I nail it? What do you think? Also, let's have a conversation too, because this is always good to spin off other videos. I love talking about movies. What's your favorite Alien or Aliens movie? Let's chat about that stuff. I'll be down there talking to you guys. I want to hear from you. But if you sat around here and listened to me yap, I do really appreciate it. If you like what I'm trying to do here, all you got to do is click the like button. Thank you very much. But I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for being here. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.